A first-half hat-trick in this fixture. That had only been done once before today.
Was it me?
Was
it?
Yeah.
I heard Andy Townsend talking in commentary about Robbie Fowler scoring a hat-trick against Villa all the time.
No, that wasn't in the first half.
I assumed it would have been Robbie.
That wasn't in the first half. You got yours at Anfield against Villa. So.
Good stuff.
I mean, but that guy there, he hadn't even scored in the Premier League before today. That A, get a hat-trick, and B, get it against the champions' defence that only conceded 33 goals all of last season.
Yeah, you don't get much change out of Liverpool's back four and Van Dijk. Of course, there was a change in goal today, and that never helped. But, you know, you can make all the excuses you like. Villa put Liverpool under a lot of pressure. They had pace. And, you know, we mentioned just before the game, when you look at Villa's team sheet now, all of a sudden you think, wow, that's a decent team. Grealish and Watkins, you know, they've just signed Barkley, and all of a sudden you're thinking, this is a team that can cause teams problems. I didn't think Liverpool thought they would cause them this many problems, and fully deserved. There were, yeah, I mean, 3 of the goals were deflections. On another day, you don't get the rub of the green. You know, the ball goes out into the Holt end, and you know, and you only score 2 or 3 goals. But you know, they did have chances they missed as well. Hit the woodwork. You know, it was a great game. My brain's just trying to unravel what's happened today and think, is that normal? Is it because there's no fans? Is it because what is it? I mean, but when you watch the game, they fully deserved it. No excuses.
Yeah, and whatever Ollie Watkins goes on to achieve in his career, that is a day, and those goals, he will never, ever forget. It's a landmark day for him, Tim.
Absolutely, and it started so brilliantly. Adrian gift wraps this one for him. Jack Grealish just picks up the pieces there. Gomez cannot let him back inside, and he does, and Ollie's got a simple task. You know, when I'm pleased for these kids when they come from the Championship, they go to get their move to the Premier League. Look, Gomez has to come out there, make it easy for Adrian, but it's a poor decision from Adrian. And Jack Grealish just goes quick as you like back into Ollie Watkins. But when they come from the Championship, Steve, you know, and everyone says, well, they can do it in the Championship, they will never be able to do it. I mean, we've seen Patrick Bamford this year do it as well for Leeds. You know, if they're given a chance, they can perform. Put them on the stage, give them a chance and show what they can do. Jurgen's telling Adrian there what everyone knows. The whole world is saying, why don't you kick it up the field? Give us a breather. There's Jack Grealish, opens them up again. It drags it inside, outside the foot, gives Ollie Watkins no control problems. He cuts inside Gomez and he smashes it in the top corner. But this is all about Grealish. Look, Fabinho goes to him, he just drags it. It's like he's in the park, Jack Grealish. The game is so easy for him, and Ollie wants to get it inside. As soon as he takes it inside, it makes the goal a lot bigger, the angle's better, and he just sticks it in the postage stamp mode.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lovely finish, cutting inside on your right and, you know, on your right foot. I'll just go back to the Grealish part of that. I mean, the bravery to actually take it back into a clustered area, that just shows you the confidence in him. And then, of course, he has a hand to play in this as well. I think he's telling Ross Barkley what to do, but Ross Barkley does it perfectly. A high line from Liverpool. Tim spoke about maybe that line should have been on the 18-yard box, but there was no look about that goal. Brilliant ball. And how many times as well, when a ball fizzes like that, just see the striker just having almost like a flick header, as we see on the far side. He's certainly onside, but here, how many times you see people just sort of almost shy away from it and flick it this side of the post, but he thumps it into the back of the net. Great goal scorer's finish.
He certainly does. 7 goals conceded by Liverpool, by the Premier League champions, by Jurgen Klopp, the Liverpool manager. First time that's happened to him in his managerial career. And there you go, his heaviest league defeats. One for Mainz, and then by 5 goals for the second time as the Liverpool manager. At 5-0 against City in 2017, and of course today's 7-2 defeat. Shell-shocked as well, when you give them the standards of their defending over the last 2 or 3 years.
I think he is, but I do like his attitude as well, because I think that type of attitude will sort of get them through it. You know, almost water off a duck's back. Yeah, it was one of those days. 3 deflections, you know, a few mistakes. If you're one of those people that it's Jurgen Klopp's job to worry about it. If you're a player, then if you can make any excuse to exonerate yourself, your teammates, to keep your confidence levels high, self-belief high, OK, it was one of those days, next game. If you sit there thinking, oh, yeah, it was my fault, and, you know, all of a sudden your shoulders start to slump, you start to panic, you start to, you know, just it goes through there. I think that attitude you know, he looked chilled out, didn't he? He's disappointed, of course he's disappointed. But if I was a Liverpool fan, which I am, watching him, I'm thinking, do you know what? It's not going to affect him too much. He'll be back on it next game, and I think that's the right attitude to have.
It is unprecedented times. He did mention a difficult week in the camp. Is it too easy to say, I mean, Thiago's hardly played, but Mane and Alisson weren't there? Is that any factor?
Yeah, without doubt. Goalkeeper, Alisson was a massive factor. First goal is the most important goal in any football match, and he gives them the first goal. I mean, it was a poor mistake when he should be, he knows he's experienced enough, should be kicking that ball up the field. But it's hard. It's hard for everyone at the moment. But we criticise Man United like we did earlier and not criticise Liverpool. They are the champions. We know they've got a leader of a manager. They've got leaders within their group. I'll tell you one thing's for certain. If they could handpick any game in 2 weeks' time, it would be the Merseyside derby. A team like Everton, who are strutting about there in the blue shirts, giving it, we're top of the league, you have to chase us now. They will want to put manners on them. It's the biggest game they could look for, and it's a perfect one for them. And I bet you I can tell you who's going to play in central midfield. Jordan Henderson. You panned in on him during the game. You need leaders. When you've got difficult times, and I know it's only one game, but when you've got difficult times, you need to lead and lean on your experienced, tough boys, and he's one of them. That's why he's still at the football club.
And I think today we've seen two examples, the two games that we've covered. When you get a goalkeeper or when you get a mistake early on in a game, it rattles you. And one, it gives the opponent so much confidence. And secondly, it makes you so nervous. I mean, you've seen Manchester United today. They concede a couple early, and it's like all of a sudden you're seeing mistakes from seasoned internationals that you just don't see. And then again, today, you know, you concede, you get rattled, your goalkeeper makes a bad pass to start with, you're not confident with him now, and all of a sudden, it's like rabbit in the headlights. It's very, very difficult to stop that momentum. Then, one, you've got nerves running through you, and two, you're giving the onus to the opposition, and they're all of a sudden confident. So we've seen two examples of that today. And, of course, if you've got a goalkeeper like Alisson that barely makes mistakes and is just a calming influence, it's amazing how much confidence that spreads through to the back four.
In that second half, though, let's get back to Villa. They had their debut man, of course, Ross Barkley. He got his goal. He could have easily had a hat-trick himself today, couldn't he?
Look, every time Ross made a run forward, Jack Grealish was looking for him, wasn't he? I mean, you see him here, you see Grealish. He knows where Ross is going to go. He's the architect that everything good about Villa was Jack Grealish, and Ross must relish this. He's getting an opportunity. I've got a lot of time for Ross Barkley. You know, he's left Chelsea, he didn't want to be a squad player. He knows the Euros are coming up in the summer, and he wants to play football matches. He knows he's going to go there and play on a regular basis. And that's a little bit lucky, obviously. I mean, it loops over. But, you know, good players can play with good players, and you've got two good English footballers there in the screen. Fortunate, yes, loops over. Wouldn't have gone in without their deflection. But you need a little bit of luck at times, especially when you're Aston Villa and you're playing against the champions.
But worryingly for Liverpool, I mean, he had 2 or 3 gilt-edged opportunities on top of that, Ross Barkley.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about 7 goals, but they hit the bar late on. As you say, Ross Barkley had a few chances. Watkins said he could have scored 4 or 5. So, yes, I mean, it was not good for Liverpool. And as I say, right from minute one, you get rattled like that, and it's very hard to stem the flow then. And, of course, when you've got players like Ross Barkley that can turn it on, I've been disappointed with his career in many ways, because I look at him and think, wow, you've got everything. You can beat players, you're strong, both, hits the ball well with both feet, can score goals. And I just think he's got all the tools to be a proper player. I want to see him kick on a little bit more now he's in an Aston Villa shirt.
You talked about Grealish setting up goals. He got 2 himself as well to round it all off and put the icing on the cake.
I mean, listen, I've worked with this boy. He's just a special talent, real special talent. And I was singing it from the rooftops. He needs to play for England, and they need to build a squad around him. Cuts inside. You know what he's going to do. He's trying to bend it in the top corner. Gets another lucky deflection and wrong foots Adrian. But every time he gets the ball, they're nervous. I mean, he's not the quickest player in the world, but he shifts the ball and he manipulates it, and his body swerves, and he knows he plays with his head up. If he's getting closed down, he gives it to someone who is in space, and if he thinks it's right to shoot, he shoots. He's got no self-indulgence in him, Jack Grealish. He gives it to the person who's in space, and if he hasn't got any space, then he will finish it himself. This finish here, I mean, we'll get on to Alexander-Arnold, was terrible, but when he squares up to Adrian there, I don't even know what Jack's going to do. I know the boy inside out. I don't know what he's going to do. He's so unpredictable. Looks like he's shaping up to bend that into the bottom left-hand corner. He just dinks it over him into this corner. I mean, he's just a fantastic striker, Mo. You'd love to have played in front of him, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he glides, doesn't he? He's not raw pace, but he's a strong runner. He works hard. I mean, you look at his stats, it's frightening. People think, you know, he's a luxury player. Again, we spoke about Manchester United earlier. I haven't watched them, and you talk about the Pogbas and the Fernandes and all these players. Well, he's got all that skill, but he works hard as well. His interceptions, his running, ground he covers, high-intensity runs, all of that is much higher than people would think. And, of course, when he gets onto the ball, he's so brave. He's so brave. He'll take the ball when so many players around him. And that's a mark of courage, you know, of someone that's got bravery, is when no one else wants it, when someone's down an alley or whatever, he'll still show for it. He'll take a touch into numbers. For the goal, actually, for the first goal, was just a great example. He had an easy opportunity to take a touch, open the pitch up, and just play a nice, easy ball to the full-back, change the play. But no, he takes a touch back into the danger zone, threads a ball through, opens them up for a goal. It's brilliant.
And that final goal, of course, meant that Jurgen Klopp had conceded 7 in the league for the first time in his managerial career. Here's the post-match thoughts then. Yeah, he's talking about history there. Last time Liverpool conceded 7 in a league game, 1963. He was fairly philosophical, though, wasn't he?
Absolutely. And you know what? Again, I'll go back to, if I was a Liverpool fan watching him, I'm buoyant. I've just seen my team lose 7-2. and you're disappointed, and all of a sudden you see Virgil van Dijk come out and be as positive as he was, admitting that, you know, they were poor, all the rest of it, hands up. But still, you know, you're still proud of what he's saying. He's given, you know, praise in the right areas, and he's talking about, you know, all roads leading to the derby now. So, yes, really disappointing night for Liverpool, but in the grand scheme of things, it's one game in a season, long way to go. They're still the team to beat in the Premier League.
Having said that, I don't want to take you back to those pale days at Villa Park, but when you get a bad defeat as a manager and hasn't got a game for 2 weeks, you take it home with you. What's it like when you're going over and over it in your mind like he will be about that game?
Terrible. It's the worst time. You just want the next game to come so you can get a positive result. He has more positive results than negative ones, but he's a master of the spin. The best ever. He's not that happy. You know, he showed us his teeth so many times there. He's smiling, he's happy. He's got everyone eating out of his hands. He's an absolute master at it. Brilliant. And managers can learn. Young managers like me, I wouldn't be able to put that on. You know, it would affect me too much. He's so professional. He's so good at it. And everyone can learn from him. He's the greatest at it. I see it when he had that dodgy season when he first come to Anfield. And he was talking the press. He has the press eating out of his hands. He has the players and he has the crowd. There's no one he doesn't affect. He's the greatest.
But who affects him then when he goes home tonight?
Well,
and
he
gets
deals
up
with
in
it
the morning?
himself. He deals with it himself. He's got assistants. He's changed his assistant there as well. Family play an important part. You know, they really do. I mean, I don't only talk for myself. My wife, I've been with her 28 years, and she watched me play and manage 8 times in the whole of the time, so she had no interest. You know, I remember my first game, I pull up outside Southampton, I'm managing Tottenham, a little bit nervous about it, and she sends me a text, what do you want for dinner? You know, it takes your mind off it. That's the way I relaxed. You know, his wife might be different. She might be going to every football match he ever manages, not at the moment, obviously. But I just think he's great. He needs to deal with it himself. He'll get over it. He'll go home. What he'll do is he'll look at the tape last year of them winning the Premier League, going, why not? I mean, he's the greatest manager we've got in the Premier League at the moment because he's the champion.
Was it a nice dinner? Was it a nice dinner that night? Or did you not remember?
We won the game, so it tasted...
It tasted all right, yeah. OK, well, it'll taste good for Aston Villa's boss tonight, won't it, after that 7-2 win? Mate, you have to enjoy these moments as a manager when you get a result like that.
Absolutely. I mean, in recent history, last season, he had some really difficult times, you know, going to deep into the end of the season, start biting their nails, thinking if they're going to stay in the Premier League. But they managed to see it, and now they're producing results like this, 100% record and beating the champions 7-2. Fantastic. Enjoy it, Dean.
How different do they look? Not just this season, but since we restarted the Premier League.
Well, I think last season, of course, the big money striker got injured early on, and I think that they looked a little bit toothless. Everything was reliant on Grealish playing particularly well, whether he was going to score or create something out of nothing. But now you look at it, and it's all the more interesting. Of course, you've still got Grealish, who the better players you play around him, of course, he's going to have miles more options. People are going to be interested in marking other players, might free him up a little bit. McGinn was injured for a long period last season. He's a great runner from deep. And then, of course, Watkins is a new signing that you know, he's got so much energy, pace, can score a goal. I think he'll settle into the Premier League very well, and he's already shown that tonight. So I just think they've got options. Obviously, a goalkeeper as well. They chopped and changed their goalkeeper last season. He looks like he's settled there already. So, I mean, you know, just the one or two players coming back from injury, one or two important signings, top and bottom of your team, which are really important positions, and all of a sudden it's got a new look to it.
What a day for Aston Villa to pulse two with, alongside the 5 goals they conceded against City, the 6 against Stoke on the final day, and Manchester United's 6-1 for the second time. That Manchester City game when Johnny Evans was sent off, and those 2 5-0s in the Premier League era in the 90s at Chelsea and at Newcastle. Nobody would have predicted a day like today. Still haven't had a 0-0 draw at all in this Premier League season. We had 16 goals yesterday in the 4 games. Everton had the 100% record. Although they've played a game less, Villa still do. Nobody else has. So it isn't the red half of Merseyside, it is the blue who top the Premier League. Played 4, won 4 for Carlo Ancelotti's Everton, and Villa, who've only played 3, also have that 100% record. They're in second, also on 9 points. Leicester, Arsenal and Liverpool. Spurs up to 7 points in the top 6. 3 teams still waiting to get up and running. They are Fulham, Sheffield United and Burnley. Burnley have played only 3, none of them with a point on the board. Manchester United, 3 points from 9. Manchester City, 4 points from 9.